Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
Growing up here has made you be helpful and friendly, so it's hard to fight that urge not to help.
An investigation is underway after someone was assaulted while trying to help someone else stuck in the snow.
The reported assault took place near Highway 75 in Crookston. The victim was injured by one of the two people whose SUV was stuck. They also took off with a gun and some money.
It's the kind of story that might have you driving past the next person you see needing help in order to ensure your own safety. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly explains.
For being nice. So when it comes to a vehicle stuck on the side of the road, it's almost second nature to pull over and help.
See what they need help with. If it's something you can help with at the time, just help them out with it.
But recently, there have been incidents where trying to help has turned into a dangerous situation, making the instinct to pull over a little more complicated.
You're fighting that urge not to help someone out, so it's like a dilemma. I'm like, no, I gotta pull over. I'll risk it, but yet it's like in the back of your mind.
Regardless of these incidents, people say they still want to help.
If they feel comfortable approaching a strange vehicle and not knowing what's going on or why that person is stranded or in the ditch, that's an individual choice that somebody has to make.
If you do choose to try and help, it's still important to take precautions.
Call 911 prior to getting out of the vehicle. At least that way they've let somebody know where they're at.
And also assess the situation before getting out to help. Don't get involved if the person seems to be acting strangely or rashly. If you do see someone stuck in the snow, police say when in doubt, call 911 because that's what they're there for. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
Officials remind people they're not obligated to stop and help. Letting police and highway patrol know where the stranded car is allows them to help for you.
We can't seem to shake the cold, but at least the flurries are moving out. Hutch, all gone by the time we wake up tomorrow morning?
That looks to be the case as we head to bed tonight. Things are really pretty quiet in the FM area. Still a few flakes flying down, and it is awfully slippery, particularly on those on and off ramps onto the interstate. A look at the radar shows the heavier bands of snow along and south of Interstate 94, mainly to the south right now, between the Bismarck area and out toward Minneapolis. Some of those bands just into southern parts of Cass County and northern Clay County, where you see the dark blues a little heavier. But nonetheless, the main concern as this exits between now and, say, 2 a.m., we're expecting very cold conditions with wind chills that will dive down into the 10 to 30 below category as we start our day. So it's going to be another chilly start for our day, but it does look like we'll have some sunshine. Alas, more snow and cold in the forecast. I'll spell it all out here in a few minutes.
Sunshine is good, at least.
Yes, we're looking for positives.
Thanks, Hutch.
One person is dead after an officer-involved shooting in Douglas County, Minnesota. Authorities say there was a domestic disturbance call early this morning in Miltona. That's just north of Alexandria. 2 deputies responded. At one point, one of the deputies fired their weapon. The suspect died in the shooting. The officers involved were not hurt and are now on paid administrative leave. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is now investigating the incident.
The Polk County Sheriff's Office is warning the public about a Social Security scam that's sweeping the area. Residents have been getting calls from a person saying they're from the Social Security Administration. The scammer says they'll take legal action against your Social Security number and suspend it due to suspicious activity. If you get a message like this, do not call the number back. If you have any questions about this, please call your local law enforcement agency or your local Social Security office.
The search continues tonight for a missing teenager. Moorhead police need some help in finding 14-year-old Danielle Hope Flores. Danielle has brown hair and green eyes. She's 4 feet 11 inches tall and weighs about 125 pounds. If you have any information as to where she might be, contact Moorhead Police. Danielle isn't the only teen to run away from home recently. Last week, 3 other teenagers went missing for nearly 30 hours. They were found and were okay. Fargo police tell us that they have had 18 runaway reports so far this year. West Fargo has had 13.
A young person has a terrible day and they go to their social media account and they vent about, nothing in my life is right. That's an opportunity for a predator to jump in and say, I can give you such a better life if you just leave with me.
Police say the best way to protect your children is to know who they're talking to in person and online.
The president has arrived in Vietnam for a second meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, hoping to convince him to stop all nuclear testing and eventually denuclearize his country. The two met last June, but that summit failed to come up with any agreement. Intelligence reports indicate that Kim is still building up his nuclear arsenal.
And let's recognize that Kim giving up those nuclear weapons immediately is about the same chance as the Mexicans paying for the wall.
The world in terms of the Korean Peninsula is safer today than it was the day that Barack Obama left the White House, and I think that's because of the actions of President Trump.
The White House has cautioned that a third summit may be needed.
The president may be in Vietnam, but back home, a blockbuster in Washington, D.C. President Trump's former lawyer and fixer, Michael Cohen, started 3 days of testimony before Congress.
And we're learning new details tonight about what he plans to say publicly tomorrow. Kristen Welker has more on a wild day on Capitol Hill.
Michael Cohen on Capitol Hill, kicking off 3 days of potentially blockbuster testimony. Today, grilled behind these closed doors after pleading guilty to lying to the same Senate committee when he testified 18 months ago.
Do you expect him to tell the truth this time?
No. What I intend to keep focused on is untangling the very complicated financial arrangements between Donald Trump and Russia.
A source with knowledge of his testimony says Cohen this week will detail what he says is criminal conduct by the president since he took office, as well as allegations of what the source calls the president's lies, racism, and cheating as a private businessman. Cohen is also set to discuss Mr. Trump's financial statements, as well as those hush money payments during the campaign. In a scathing statement, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said it's laughable that anyone would take a convicted liar like Cohen at his word, echoing President Trump's frequent attacks.
Very simply, Michael Cohen is lying, and he's trying to get a reduced sentence for things that have nothing to do with me.
Cohen is also expected to address why he lied about the negotiations to build a Trump Tower in Moscow, which lasted well into the campaign. Cohen, who once said he'd take a bullet for the president, last year started cooperating with federal investigators and was sentenced to 3 years in prison for crimes including campaign finance violations and tax evasion. Since then, Cohen's tone about the president has changed too.
The man doesn't tell the truth. And it's sad that I should take responsibility for his dirty deeds.
Live coverage of Michael Cohen's public testimony before Congress starts at 9 a.m. Central Time tomorrow on NBC.
The U.S. House has blocked President Trump's national emergency declaration in order to build a border wall. 13 Republicans joined the Democratic majority in passing a resolution to terminate the national emergency. Opponents say the president is infringing upon Congress's constitutional power to raise and spend money. The Senate must vote on the resolution within the next 18 days. And while Republicans control the majority, the outcome there is uncertain. If the bill passes, President Trump says he will veto it.
The United Methodist Church has voted to strengthen its bans on same-sex marriage and ordination of LGBTQ clergy. Delegates of the church voted 438 to 384 on a so-called traditional plan, which will not allow regional and local church bodies to decide for themselves on pro-gay policies. The plan upholds language that says homosexuality is not compatible with Christian teaching. The church's decision has disheartened some within America's second largest denomination.
Because I am surrounded by wonderful people, I have been able to find a new piece of hope. So when that happened, that was once again diminished a little bit.
An alternative measure that would have given individual churches flexibility on LGBTQ clergy failed.